Jazz Chisholm of the Miami Marlins, on the year, he has a 735 OPS, 8 homers, 107 WRC+, 1.2 F WAR, and he currently has 2.5 years on his contract. How do we feel about this one?
Fun. This would be the most fun guy they could acquire easily. He's got a little bit of power. He's got a little bit of swag. He's an electric base runner. He would play the corner outfield. He hasn't played corner outfield, but I think he'd be okay at corner outfield. His defensive numbers are interesting, to say the least. But if you stick him out there in the corner, having a lot of fun, Chain will be out, might hit a homer, toss his bat 1,000,000 miles into the air. And by the way, he'll be productive. Like, that's what you want, right? Ultimately, it's production. And you know, looking at the team across the aisle that you're going to be trading with here at the Miami Marlins, like, seriously, how much is he really going to cost?
Yeah, he's a 107 WRC+ guy. I know he's got 2.5 years of control, so he is not going to cost you a bunch of top-level prospects in your farm system. Your farm's not going to get gutted for Jazz Chisholm, that's for sure. So, yeah, I'm sure that the package would probably be reasonable. And like you said, imagine all the flair he'd add to this team, to this city, to this region. It'd be awesome. Yeah. And selfishly, guy's a great quote. You think he wouldn't make great short-form content if we got him on the mic? Oh, he would.
Yeah. So we should, if Jerry doesn't want to do it, we should do the negotiating with the Marlins. We'll do that.
I'm sure. Well,
I think it'd be worth the investment.
I mean, how hard can it be to negotiate with the Marlins?
Well, you know, how's that Christian Yelich trade working out? Exactly.
You know what's funny? Aram put out that tweet. Aram Layton, who's the co-founder of Just Baseball and has been on this podcast, it went viral because the 4 guys the Marlins got back for Christian Yelich are now all out of baseball. One of them, I'm going to blank on his name. Maybe I need to look it up. One of them's now trying to play college football at age 28.
Yeah, Monte Harrison. Yeah, he's a former 4-star recruit. He's at Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. and that's who it was, Monte Harrison. And Lewis Brinson, who was the headline of that deal, is out of baseball. He's out of Major League Baseball, that's for sure. So,
but like Jazz has shown has like the potential to be electric. 2022 season was his best. He was an all-star that year, had a 136 WRC+ in 60 games. That was peak Jazz. Go back on YouTube, it's the Tavon Austin joke where you go watch Tavon Austin, West Virginia highlights, but no, go watch Jazz Chisholm's 2022 season highlights, because that was a fun season. But he's actually, if we're talking about this year, he's made some really quality jumps in areas you'd like to see. His quality of contact is up, his barrel rate is up, and his walk rate is up. Those are positive signs. I mean, his barrel rate is up there at 12%, 82nd percentile. That's pretty good. He's not a huge guy, overall not a huge power guy. And when you look at the Savant page, you see average, about overall, net average. But then you check at the value. Batting run value, 81st percentile. Base running run value, something the Mariners need, 97th percentile. Then fielding, he's average. Well, note that with the Marlins, he plays center. The Mariners should be in the corner outfield spots. And he, by the way, was a former infielder. If you dare to move him back on the infield, you could do that too. So he's versatile. He's fast. He's fun. He's got a little bit of power. And he's not going to cost that much. That's why I think this would be fun.
He's actually on pace for about 25 homers right now, which is crazy, but he is. So, yeah, all that combined, especially the fact that he can play infield and outfield for you, that helps a lot. I know he hasn't played second base this year, but if you need him to play second base, I'm sure he can do it. And like you said, if you can play center field, you can play the corners, especially if you're Jazz Chisholm. I'm sure he can play left field. So if the Mariners traded for him and had him play left field, I think that would be perfectly fine. And the 2 guys we've headlined so far with Chisholm and Arozarena, because they have club control, that is much more appealing, as we know, to Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander than probably a lot of the guys we're going to headline upcoming, because they don't usually make trades for rentals.
Can you just think of the personality difference with the current Mariners corner outfielders and then Jazz?
Listen, and that's no knock on any of the Mariners guys. Like, people are who they are, but yes, to your point of Dom Canzone, Luke Raley, Mitch Haniger, who are all they're more on the quiet side, at least from what we see as media for the most part. Paired with Jazz Chisholm, that's pretty night and day different.
Yeah,
like
I just
night and day
had
different.
that thought pop into my head.
Yeah, that's a drastic difference in terms of the outgoingness, at least in public. Again, maybe in the clubhouse, all those guys are way different. We don't know that, but at least how they are around, I guess, the media or on TV. Yeah, there's a big difference.
And overall, like if you acquire him, so I said he's going to be a free agent after the 2026 season, but he's not that expensive. He cost $2.6 million this year. He'll probably cost $5 million next year, and then $7.5 million the year he walks.
Right,
it's not that much.
No. Now, if we're going to highlight a couple of concerns, which we probably should, I don't want to say he's a platoon bat, but he fares much better against righties than he has lefties in his career. You're talking about an 800 OPS against righties and a 625 OPS in his career against lefties. So, again, he doesn't platoon, but there are some somewhat drastic splits. And he hasn't been Luis Robert injured in his career, but he has sustained his share of injuries. So health is something to consider here, too. Again, because he wouldn't cost that much and he has club control, I am open-minded to the idea. I'm just outlining that.
Yeah. And would you say he's the best player right now in the Marlins? Right? He wouldn't have to be that anymore.
Right.
So, was him, and it was a rise, then him, but now I think it's just him. So there would be, I'd say, less, the pressure would be on, like he'd be in Seattle to play, but it's not, our season makes and breaks if you stay healthy.
Right.
Which is different. Which would be different than Luis Robert, which the Mariners season, if they were to acquire him and then he would get hurt, would affect the Mariners season greatly.
To answer your question, he is the most valuable position player on the Marlins, that's for sure. Now, by Baseball Reference, because I just pulled it up in terms of team WAR for this year, there are 3 pitchers ahead of him: Ryan Weathers, Tanner Scott, Declan Cronin. But Jazz Chisholm is the most valuable position player on the Miami Marlins.
All right. Well, sounds good to me and Jerry. Mm-hmm. So I overall like the idea of Jazz Chisholm, and I don't think he'll cost that much.